it back onto our back. And if you have a ring or a band, you can use that. You're gonna be back onto your back with one leg to the ceiling. If you don't have a ring or a band, you can just simply use your arms to pull that leg in towards you. Shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears, lengthen the back of the neck, and we're gonna focus on our breath. Breath up high in the rib cage. Exhale, forcing every ounce of air out of the lungs. Your shoulders are shrugging down. Now hold on to that with the right hand on the right leg and drop the leg out to the side. If you're doing left leg, that's fine too. Just drop the leg out to the side. Try to keep your hips facing the ceiling. Now with that lower leg, ideally it's long, straight on the floor reaching, but you can always bend the knee if you need to and to help keep the hips stable. Sometimes it feels better in the low back to keep the leg bent. When you bring the leg back up to the ceiling, you're gonna cross over to the other side. So still keeping your hips down on the floor, hips facing the ceiling, it's just a little crossover. Take another deep breath in up high in the rib cage, and then you can bring it right back to center. We're gonna switch legs, so same thing on the other side. Pull it in for a stretch, shoulders are shrugging down, lengthening the back of the neck. Try to keep that lower leg long, straight, and reaching, but you can always bend the knee if you need to. And now drop that leg out to the side, keeping your hips squared off, facing the ceiling. Hopefully you're not gripping up into your neck. Your shoulders are still down out of the ears. Take another deep breath in. You're gonna bring the leg up and then cross over the center line, trying to bring the foot towards the opposite shoulder. Keeping that leg long and straight. Pull it in a little deeper. Draw the navel in deeper. And then you can bring the leg right back to center. And we're gonna take the foot down, just bring both knees to bent with your feet flat on the floor. If you have the ring, you can reach your arms to the ceiling. You could squeeze a ball between your hands. You could use hand weights if you have it. So arms are gonna basically just be reaching to the ceiling, shoulders shrug down. If you have a ball or ring, squeeze as tight as possible. The upper spine is gonna curl up. So head and shoulders come off the floor, look into your belly, and then rest head and shoulders back down. Exhale as you curl up, flexing up, looking into the belly, and then rest down. Remember the breath is up high in the rib cage. Your abs are tight and pulled in the whole time, never letting the belly relax, never letting the belly lift with air. And rest. We're gonna do one more, flexing up, exhaling, curling up, looking into the belly, squeezing the ring, and then resting back down. Keep your feet flat, keep your arms reaching to the ceiling. You could do your hands down by your side too if you wanted to, but you're gonna lead with the tailbone as you lift your hips up to the ceiling, coming up into the bridge. Take a deep breath, and then roll your spine right back down, one vertebrae at a time. If it bothers the low back at all to articulate through the spine, you could just lift up, keeping neutral, kind of lifting up with a flat back. If you can, peel your spine up one vertebrae at a time, and then rolling back down slow, one vertebrae at a time. We'll do one more bridge. If you have that ring, squeeze it. Others reach long arms, shoulders shrug down, press the toes to the floor, and then slowly roll back down into your rest. So just relax your arms for a moment. If you have the ball or the ring, just keep it in your hands. You're gonna drop your knees to one side and stretch. Bring the knees up and over to the other side. So we're gonna go into the 100 next. With the 100, you can use the ring between the ankles, the ball. You could use that block between the knees. You could put the block all the way up between your ankles if you want. I don't know how comfortable that'll be. You could also use weights in your hands for the 100. Start with tabletop legs. Curl up, look into the belly. You can do this with head and shoulders down, and you can keep tabletop legs the whole time if you want. If you can, lengthen legs out to straight and start pumping the arms. Inhaling for 5 counts, exhaling for 5. Using the upper back to shrug the shoulders down out of the ears. Think about squeezing the glutes, pulling up on the pelvic floor, pulling the belly in. Try to curl up a little bit higher if you can and get those legs a little bit lower. Remember, the higher the legs are, the easier it is. You could do tabletop legs the whole time. Take breaks if you need it. Inhaling for 5 counts, exhaling for 5. If you have that ball or ring, squeeze it a little bit tighter. Still think about pulling up on the pelvic floor. Do one more 10 count. Inhaling for 5, exhaling for 5, and then you can finally rest back down. So get rid of the ring or the ball or weights. With this one, your hands are just down by your side. One leg is straight to the ceiling, the other leg is flat down onto the floor. So we're doing leg circles. One leg is gonna start a circle motion. Inhale as you start, exhale as you finish. Now the lower leg, hopefully it's straight, but it can be bent if you need to keep it bent. Press the back of the shoulders of the floor. We're trying to draw the biggest circle possible without moving the pelvis. Might as well be working the arms by pressing them downward into the floor, pulling the shoulder blades together. Do one more. When you bring it up, hold the leg up, flex both feet, and go in the opposite direction. Reaching out to the heels. Inhaling as you start, exhale as you finish. Longer legs. We'll do 2 more circles. And when you bring that leg to the ceiling, grab onto the straight leg and pull it in for a stretch. Now keep that leg lifted. You're just gonna bend it and hug the knee into your chest. Now we're gonna switch sides. So we're doing our leg circles on the other side. Both legs are long and straight, but remember that leg on the floor can be bent. Start a circle, inhaling as you start, exhale as you finish. Keep reaching longer legs like you're trying to touch the ceiling with your toes. Press the back of the shoulders to the floor, lengthen the back of the neck. So we're not pushing our chin to the ceiling, shortening the back of the neck. Focus on the breath up high in the rib cage. When you bring the leg to the ceiling, flex both feet, go in the opposite direction. Inhale as you start, exhale as you finish. Think longer legs, rolling through the hips without moving the pelvis. Tighten that imaginary belt around your waist. Do your last circle. When you bring the leg to the ceiling, grab onto the straight leg and pull it in for the stretch. Bend the knee, hug the knee in. And we're gonna keep that knee into your chest. I want you to curl up, look into your belly, and we're going right into our ab series. So the leg that's on the floor is now long, straight, and lifted, and then you can switch. So this is our single leg stretch. Shoulders are still shrugging down. If this just brings too much tension into your neck, you can keep head and shoulders down. You don't have to stay curled up. Pull the belly in deeper, and give yourself enough time to fully extend that leg out to straight, reaching through the toes. Now bring both legs together, hold them together, stay curled up. Both legs reach forward as your arms extend back, and then you come right back into your little ball. Inhale as you open up, exhale right back to center. Okay, remember, you can keep your head down the whole time, but you don't want your head and shoulders to fall to the floor when your arms reach back. Inhale as you open up, exhale, pull to center. Focus on squeezing the inner thighs together, pulling up on the pelvic floor. Now just to torture yourself, open up and hold it. So your legs are straight, your arms are reaching back, curl up higher, pull the belly in, and then you come right back into your little ball. We're gonna do our scissor kicks next. So one leg to the ceiling, one leg falls on the floor, curl up still if you can, and then switch. Think forcing it out of the lungs as you pull that leg in. Try not to grip into your neck. Try to get those legs longer and straighter. If you want to deepen the stretch, reach out to the heels. Do one more on each side. We are going to finish with both legs at the ceiling, reaching through the toes. So point the feet, hands are down by your side, and both straight legs are going to go down and up. With this one, keep head and shoulders down and lengthen the back of the neck, and focus on the pelvis and that lumbar spine. We're trying not to move the pelvis, so you're keeping that low back in the same position as the legs go down and up. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Lower on the inhale, exhale, lift. You can do your last lower and lift. When you bring the legs up, bend them to tabletop. Curl up, look into the belly with your hands behind your head. Rotate to one leg, opposite leg reaches straight, and then you switch. Remember, you could keep your head down and skip the rotation and just do the legs if you wanted to. Try and keep elbows wide. Curl up a little bit higher if you can. Think ringing there out of the lungs as you twist. You have one more on each side. And then when you come back to center, you get a rest back down. Let's just do a stretch here with both legs straight. Arms are reaching way back overhead. And lift the rib cage of the ceiling so you stretch through your abdomen. Now bring your arms to the ceiling. I want you to make sure you pull the ribs back in, pull the belly in. If you want to work your arms a little harder, you could hold the ring, you could squeeze the ball, you could hold little weights in your hands, but we're gonna do our roll up. So on roll up, head and shoulders are gonna come up off the floor, come all the way up and stretch out over the legs. Stack your spine up to straight and then rolling back down. Now if that felt too hard to get up as a smooth rolling up one vertebrae at a time, a modified version of your roll up is to start seated and then you roll down. Just before you feel like you're gonna fall to the floor, you come back up and stretch out over the legs. Otherwise, go all the way down to the floor and then peeling yourself all the way up. You could grab onto the back of the legs, bent legs, and pull yourself up if you needed to. Modify it another way. All the way back down. Let's do one more roll up. When we're up, we're gonna stay up. So bring yourself up over the legs, stack up, and let's stay seated, sitting as tall as possible. If you have that ring or ball, squeeze it tighter, shoulders down out of the ears. Rotate to one side and then face center. Twist to the other side and face center. Try to think about growing taller, always improving your posture. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Roll the shoulders down out of the ears. Exhale, twist, inhale, face front. Do one more rotation on each side. Squeeze that ball or ring tighter. When you come back to center, you're gonna hold it. We're gonna roll down about halfway and stay there. In this invisible lounge chair, just hang out. Shoulders shrug down, pull the belly in. Take breaks if you need it. We're gonna draw a big circle with the arms. Squeezing that ball or ring tighter, reaching longer arms with shoulders down. You're gonna change direction of that circle. Pulling the belly in deeper. Now bring the arms straight out in front of you and hold. And we're gonna do the slowest roll down possible to the floor. So real slow roll down. Oh, I know some people just drop right out of frame. Slow rolling back down. And then when you're ready, get rid of that ring, head and shoulders on the floor. So we're gonna do some bridging. On this one, feet are flat on the floor. If you have a roller and you wanna make this harder, you could put your feet up on top of the roller instead of keeping them flat onto the floor. So either way, you could still do this, feet flat on the mat or feet on your roller. Hands are by your side. Start off with an imprinted spine, every vertebrae pressing down, and then lift your hips up into the bridge. Hold the hips up high, take a deep breath, and then slowly rolling back down until you rest. Take a deep breath in, exhale, lift. Hold your hips up high into the bridge. We're gonna add some alternating leg kicks. So if you're on the roller, don't let it creep away from you. One leg kicks to the ceiling, lower it down, kick the other leg to the ceiling, and lower down. Keep the hips up high, keep your arms long, pressing down into the mat. We have one more kick on each side, keeping the hips up, trying to keep the pelvis level. After both feet are to the floor, you're gonna hold, take a deep breath, and then slowly roll your spine back down until you rest. So if you have the roller, keep it. Otherwise, keep feet flat on the floor. We're gonna do single leg bridging. One leg is long and straight, and we're not gonna alternate the straight leg on this one. Just keep that one leg straight the whole time until I tell you to switch. You're gonna lift the hips up and hold it. When you're in this bridge on a single leg, you wanna keep your thighs parallel, so the knees are still next to each other. And then slowly roll the spine back down until you rest. So keep that leg long and straight. We're just lifting up into the bridge and then rolling back down. So the leg isn't going up and down, up and down. The leg just stays long and straight as you lift the hips and then roll back down. We'll do one more. Lift up, hold it, take a deep breath in, reach for a longer leg, and then roll your spine back down. Let's do that single leg bridge on the other side. Switching it out, one leg straight, and then lift up. Hold the hips up high, take a deep breath at the top, and then roll your spine right back down into your rest. Keep the leg long and reaching. Try to keep your thighs parallel. So your knees are next to each other, but they don't have to squeeze together. Just keeping those legs with each other. Lifting the hips, and then rolling down. We got one more single leg bridge. Exhale as you lift. And then resting down. Now both feet are either flat on the floor or on the roller. This is the one where we lift up into the bridge and we kick a leg to the ceiling. Keep it there as you lift and lower the leg. I know some are trying to do that. So lift the hips up, hold it. Keep yourself up into a bridge. One leg kicks straight to the ceiling. That leg lowers down and then kicks back up. Lower and lift. Keeping the hips up, keeping your pelvis level. One more on each side. Sorry, one more, not on each side, and then switch. Remember, my cues just go on their own. Switching leg, lower and lift. Still breathing. Breath is up high in the rib cage. Try to keep the hips up a little higher. You have your last one. And then rest on the foot. Take a deep breath and then slowly roll your spine down until you rest. So we're going to go into roll over instead of roll up. If you have your roller, you can use this as an aid if you have a hard time and roll over. So just make sure there's nothing behind you, wall or furniture, that you're going to kick with your feet. We'll start off with some preps. Legs are straight to the ceiling, hands are by your side. You're going to lift the hips up a little and drop your hips back down. So basically just pelvis, lumbar, spine lift, and then you rest. You can keep going with that, but if you have the strength in your core and the flexibility in the low back, bring those legs all the way overhead so that your legs are parallel with the floor, and then slowly roll your spine right back down into your rest. If you can't do that, pretty much either of those, you could put the ball or the roller underneath your hips and just hold a stretch here, letting the legs kind of fall to your face. It is relaxing to do that one. If you can, we're gonna try to do 2 more rollovers at least. Legs overhead, squeeze them together, and then slowly rolling your spine right back down into your rest. Try and do your last one. Flex the feet, squeeze the legs together. After you rest your hips back down to the floor, you're gonna bend your knees and rest your feet. We're gonna do another spine twist with both knees together. Just drop your knees to the floor on one side. Bring the knees up and over to the other side. We're gonna go into our side leg series next. So that means we're gonna be laying on our side. If you have a ring or a ball, you're gonna wanna use it. When you lay on your side, either side is fine first. Just line your spine up with the back edge of the mat and the legs go forward slightly. If you have the ball, you can press it into the floor with the top arm. You could just use a free hand here. If you have the ring, you can press the ring into the floor. The top leg is gonna be doing lifts. So you point and flex. When you're in this propped up position, you're trying to lift the waistline up and try to keep a straight line through your spine. So don't lift the leg too high that the waistline falls on the floor. We're trying to keep our core tight and strong. As another option to work a little harder if you wanted to, you can draw the legs back and then balance up on your elbow and do the same leg lift. Just makes it a little bit harder on your balance. And if you're tired of being propped up onto the elbow or the shoulder, you could always rest all the way down to the floor. With that ball or ring, press harder into it. Now lift the leg at hip height. You're gonna do little circles. So still point the foot, little circles. Roll the shoulders down, pull the belly in. Make sure that lower leg is tight and strong. Your ankles are still stacked as you're drawing these circles. You're gonna flex the foot and go in the opposite direction. Reaching out to the heel. Good, pulling the belly in deeper. Now hold the foot flexed. It's gonna get a little bit harder because we're gonna be swinging that leg forward and back. Kicking forward out in front of you with a flexed foot and then pointing as the leg goes back. You're trying not to move the upper body. Pull the shoulder blades together, pull the belly in, flexing forward, pointing back. We're gonna do one more kick. And then hold the legs together. Draw the legs back so they are in a straight line if you haven't done that already. And lower yourself all the way down to the floor. You can use the ball or ring on this one and put it between your ankles. The legs are gonna be long and straight, hips are stacked, and your head gets to rest down. You can squeeze the ring between the ankles or the ball between the ankles. If you don't have those, just keep the legs together. Both legs are gonna lift and lower. Exhale as you lift. Now that top hand in front of you, you can use it for support, or you can challenge your balance and bring it over the side of your body. Try to squeeze that ring or ball a little tighter as you're lifting and lowering. Good. Do 2 more lifts. Now hold the legs up as high as you can and keep them there. Still breathe, reach for longer legs. Try to squeeze a little tighter into that ball or ring. And then you can finally rest back down. So let's get rid of the ball or ring. We're gonna go actually bring it with us over to the other side. Don't get rid of it. Over to the other side. I gave you the different options here. You could go all the way down to your side. You could prop yourself up on your elbow, or you can draw everything back into a straight line and balance on your elbow in the hip. If you have the ball or the ring, you can press it into the floor. We're doing lifts. The leg goes up on the inhale, down on the exhale. Every time those legs meet together, focus on the inner thighs. Roll the shoulders down and back, pushing down to the elbow into the floor to stay lifted out of the shoulders so we don't sink into the shoulder. Adding that point and flex just adds to the coordination. Keep pressing into the ball of the ring. Still breathing. Now hold the leg at hip height and just draw small circles. Rolling the shoulders down and back, still trying to narrow the waistline. Keep pressing into that ball or ring. Reach for a longer leg. You're gonna flex the foot and draw your circle in reverse. Don't let the lower leg get lazy. It's still a tight, strong working leg. Always doing that full body scanning, but every muscle group is working hard. Keeping the breath up high in the rib cage. Hold the leg at hip height. Keep the foot flexed. You're gonna swing the leg forward and back. Try not to move anything in the upper body. That's good. Flexing forward, pointing back. Keep that lower leg tight and strong. You have 1 more forward kick. Last kick back, and then draw the legs together. Draw the legs back so that you are down that straight line. You're gonna lower all the way down to the floor, and we're gonna use the ball of the ring between the ankles. If you don't have them, again, just keep the legs together. You're gonna balance on that lower hip. You can challenge your balance, bring that arm over the top hip, but exhale as you lift. Hold the belly in, shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears. Try to stay balanced. Exhale, lifting, squeeze that ring a little tighter too. I can see Sir Jackie struggling with the ring. Let's lift up and hold it and squeeze. Good, I know if you got a little late start on those, you can keep going if you want. And then you can rest back down. So get rid of the ring. We are gonna come on, or ball. We're gonna come onto our belly. And when you're on your belly, we're starting off with a little baby swan. So your arms are just kind of tucked by your side. Hands are gonna hover off the floor. The legs are just relaxed on this one. Make sure you draw the navel in, lift the rib cage up, and then rest right back down. Lift up, take a deep breath, and then exhale, lower. So just think about using your back to lift the rib cage as high as you can, and then rest. We'll do 2 more. 1 more, lift up, try not to grip into your neck, and then you can rest back down. Let's go into our full swan. So the hands will stay on the floor. Start the motion by using your back, and then push the floor away as you come up for your full extension. You could just lift a little if that felt better in the low back, but really just only lifting as far as the low back will extend. And all the way back down. Focus on the deep breath. You're not locking the elbows. There's a little soft bend in the elbows. Your shoulders slide down. Lifting up, looking forward, and then lower back down. Now the next one, bring your hands underneath your forehead so that we have neck support. You're gonna lift both legs off the floor and then drop them back down. So both legs lift and lower. Remember, your abs are still tight and pulled in, trying to narrow the waistline. Now lift and hold the legs up if you can. Hold them there, just breathe, squeeze your glutes, and then you get to take a little break. So the next one is swimming. We're gonna move the upper body and lower body at the same time. You could just keep your head in that same position that you were just in if you didn't wanna do the upper body. We're gonna reach arms and legs long, lift everything off the floor, and then start swimming the arms and legs. Reach longer limbs, but don't grip into your neck. Your shoulders are still shrugging down. Your abs are still tight and pulled in. Taking a deep breath up high in the rib cage. And then you get to take a little break. So we're gonna do a little confusing one. Prop yourself up onto your elbows. What you don't want to happen is that you sink into your shoulders. We're gonna be lifting the rib cage and lifting the legs. It is a lot of work in the low back, so you could put your rib cage back down to the floor and just use your hands for neck support if you need it. But if you can, try to keep yourself propped up, shoulders down, and now lift both legs as high as they'll go. It doesn't feel like they get very high off the floor, but you're trying to keep yourself lifted into this extension. Now one leg is gonna bend as it kicks twice, lengthen it long. Other leg bends, kicks twice, and lengthen long. I know it's a little confusing to figure out what the legs are doing, but you're trying to keep them both strong and active the whole time. So the leg that's long and straight does not rest to the floor. Now to add to the coordination, you're gonna point and then flex, lengthen the leg, point, flex, lengthen leg. So just getting more movement in the foot. That part is optional. If it's too confusing, just do 2 kicks, lengthen. Point, flex, and lengthen. Keep your rib cage lifted, shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears, your abs are tight and pulled in. We'll just do 1 more on each side, and then you're gonna rest back down. Come up and do a little child's pose stretch, rounding your spine, C-curving it towards the ceiling. And then we're gonna come up onto our knees where you're standing tall, but we're gonna turn and face towards the long edge of your mat. So we're gonna do some kneeling leg kicks here. Arms reach out to the side. You're gonna tip over onto one hand as the opposite leg reaches long. The top arm can reach, it can come behind your head, it can come onto your hip, whatever you wanna do with that leg. But this reaching leg is gonna go up and down. Roll the shoulders down and back out of the ears. Good. Now lift that leg, hold it up, and we're gonna swing the leg forward and back, just like we did laying down onto the floor, but so much harder here on our knees. If you ever wanna work a little bit harder, I gave you guys this last week, you could go into a full side plank and do the same swing forward and back. Makes it a lot harder to be into the full plank. Do 1 more forward kick, last kick back, and then when you're ready, you can rest that leg down, but stay on this side because then we're just doing a little side bend stretch. Good. And we're gonna come over to the other side. Stand tall on your knees, reach your arms out, tip over to the side, extend the leg. Top arm can be up, behind your head or on your hip. The top leg is going up and down. This lower arm is strong, pushing into the floor. Roll the shoulders down and back, still breathing. Now hold that leg up at hip height and swing forward and back. Feel like since I did it on the other side, I gotta do it on this side. Trying to stay in the full plank as you go forward and back. Keep that lower arm strong, pushing the floor away. So focus on the deep breath up high in the rib cage. Do your last forward kick, last kick back. Now take that reaching leg long and then arm overhead for the full side bend stretch. Come onto all fours, so you're on your hands and knees, wrists underneath your shoulders. Just a real simple movement here in your upper back. So this one's scapula movement. You're gonna feel the shoulder blades spread apart and then shoulder blades pull together. Shoulder blades spread apart and then together. So really you're just dropping the rib cage to the floor and then you're lifting that rib cage towards the ceiling. Pulling together and apart. Elbows should not be bending. Arms are long and straight. Low back should not be changing position either. Now you're gonna separate those shoulder blades as hard as you can and push the floor away, and we're gonna hold it. Curl the toes under, lift the knees so the knees hover off the floor. This part is optional. You could keep the knees on the floor, but still keep those shoulder blades spreading apart. One leg keeping it bent 90 degrees is gonna swing up, lower back down to where it started, do the same on the other side. and then lower back down. Remember, you can do this the whole time with both knees on the floor, but as that one leg is kicking, the leg closer to the floor is not moving. Keep your neck in neutral. So you're just looking down between the hands. Keep pushing the floor away. Do one more on each side. And then when you're ready, drop your knees down and then sit back to your heels for a little child's pose stretch. We're gonna do thigh stretch next. So if you have your ring or your ball, you can use that between your hands, but stand tall on your knees with knees right underneath your hips. Your arms are straight out in front of you and squeeze the ring as tight as possible. You're gonna hinge back from the knees and then pull forward. Inhale as you fall back and then pull forward. If the feet ever cramp up on this, you could do toes curled under. Either one is fine. What you don't want to happen is that we just arch our low back and then straighten yourself up. You want this movement is in your knees, hinging back and then forward. That's good. Shoulders still shrug down out of the ears. If you have that ball or ring, squeeze it tighter. Fall back and hold yourself into the thigh stretch. You can always come out early, but now the arms are going to go up and down. So try to stay in this diagonal. Engage those inner thighs like you're squeezing your legs closer together. Do two more. After you bring your arms back down, return back to vertical, and then you can relax. We're going to come down to seated. When you're sitting, your knees are going to be bent with your feet flat on the mat in front of you. And make sure you have enough room behind you because we're going to eventually do rolling like a ball. So knees are together, arms are reaching out straight, shoulders shrug down. Now tuck your tailbone and just fall back halfway. Do tilt the pelvis, C-curve, and then come forward. You could just hinge back with a flat back too if that felt better. But try to tuck the tailbone, fall back, and then pull forward. Shoulders shrug down. Your arms are strong and reaching. You're squeezing the knees together and you're trying to keep your feet glued to the floor. Do one more. When you come back up, you're going to hold it. Now we're adding a rotation. Fall, twist, and reach to one side, and then come right back up where you started. Do the same thing on the other side. Fall back and reach. And follow that hand with your eyes too, so you get the rotation of the neck, trying to open up across the front of the chest, reaching strong arms. Squeeze the knees together too. And to make it a little bit harder, you're gonna fall and hold it. So fall back and stay there. Hang out just a little further, still breathe. Come back up, we'll go to the other side and hold it. Fall back and reach. Squeeze the knees together, shoulders shrug down, and then come right back to center. Hands are on your shins. You're gonna C-curve your spine and balance on your hips. So this one, we don't want the feet to touch the floor. Every time you come up, you're trying to keep your feet up and you're hovering. Keep the C-curve in your spine too to keep the ball rolling. You're gonna roll your shoulders and then come right back up and balance. You could just hold this balanced position if you don't wanna do the rocking, the rolling part of it. Inhaling as you roll back, exhale, coming back up. Now if you feel like you can maintain this tight little ball position without using the arms, reach them out there in front of you, squeeze the legs together, and roll back and forth, holding yourself in this tight little ball. Ideally, the shoulders and the knees stay the same distance from each other the whole time as you're rolling. Just do one more. When you're up, we're gonna stay up because we're getting into teaser from a seated position. Take breaks if you need it. You can rest your feet down. If you can, move your hands to the back of your thighs. Lift the rib cage higher so you go a little straighter through your spine, and then the legs are gonna be up at tabletop at least. Take breaks if you need it. If you can work harder, extend your legs up to straight. Shoulders roll down, lift the rib cage, pull the belly in. Now if you can, let go of the legs without them falling. So try to keep them in the same spot. Glue the legs together. Reach your arms to the ceiling to challenge your balance. Still breathing. And then you can finally rest back down. Now turn your face towards the long edge of your mat. And we're gonna do mermaid here, a nice relaxing one before we get into some more teasers. So in this position, the Z sit position, you could just sit cross Indian style. You could sit both legs straight out in front of you. With the either side, because we're gonna stretch away from the feet. So take one hand to the floor, opposite arm reaching and stretch away from the feet, and then come up and stretch over the feet, into the leg. And again, fall over and stretch. So really we're just tipping our rib cage side to side, laterally flexing our spine. Try not to move the pelvis. Deep breath as you stretch. Exhale, coming over. The next time you get into it, you're gonna hold. So fall over, stretch, hold, and now twist, look at the floor. Twist back, and then come all the way back up and stretch. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So stay facing the same direction, just swing the legs over to the other side. Good, try to focus on keeping that hip down as close to the floor, and then fall over and stretch away from the legs. Taking your deep breath up high in the rib cage, shoulders shrug down out of the ears. This one feels so good compared to the last one that we were the last couple. I don't know if you could tell, I feel like my face is bright red. You're gonna fall over and hold and then twist and look at the floor. Twist back to face front and you come all the way back up and stretch. All right, let's turn this so we can come back onto our back. We're gonna work towards teaser from floor up. So let's start just with your knees bent today with feet flat on the floor. And you're gonna be alternating the leg lift. So arms are reaching, shoulders shrug down. If you wanna work the arms harder, you could use the weights in your hands or you could squeeze the ring between the hands. Either one is fine. So your knees are not together, they are hip width apart. Your feet are parallel, ankles are sit bone distance apart. So as the spine comes up, it's head and shoulders lift off the floor and then your leg extends, either leg extends. And then as you roll your spine down, you're gonna rest that foot back down. And then you're gonna alternate. So opposite leg extends as straight as you pull yourself up, and then you roll back down, resting down the foot. Still squeeze the ball of the ring, shoulders shrug down, reaching long arms, you're pulling the belly in the whole time. Breath up high in the rib cage. Good. We're gonna do one more on each side, or at least even up the set that you're working on. Long leg reaching to the toes. You can finish that last one. When you're on the floor, you can take a little breather. You could keep going with that version of that modified teaser, or we're gonna work a little harder and bring your legs up to tabletop position. But this one, you wanna glue the legs together, pull the belly in, squeeze the ring or the ball with your hands. As the head and shoulders come up, both legs extend straight and you pull yourself up into your teaser. And then you're gonna roll your spine right back down to where you started. It's fine if it's just head and shoulders come up and both legs extend, and then you come right back down to the floor. You don't have to get your whole spine up. It could just be head and shoulders and legs reach. Pull the belly in, squeeze that ball and ring tighter. Do one more of these. And then when you're ready, you can rest back down to the floor. Now remember, you can always go back to that single leg alternating version if you want. You can keep going tabletop legs. It's gonna be a lot harder now for the full version. Both legs are straight down onto the floor. Arms are straight to the ceiling. Glue those legs together, pull your ribs in. So you got that feeling pulling bottom ribs towards your hips. Head and shoulders come up, and then the legs and the spine lift up into the teaser. Take a deep breath, and then slowly rolling back down into your rest. Remember, you can start with the tabletop legs if you like that version better. Head and shoulders come up, you lift up into your teaser. Good, and then you slowly roll back down into your rest. We'll try and do two more. Take breaks if you need it. Head and shoulders up, lift both legs. Good, glue those legs together. This is our last one. Lift up and lengthen. And then you can rest back down. Take a little breather, get rid of the ball or the ring. And we're gonna do a side bend stretch here. So this stretch, take your arms way back overhead. And we're gonna just do a little side bend stretch. So walk your ankles to one side and bend your upper body to that same side. Still breathing. And we're gonna bring the legs over to the other side. Feel that side bend stretch to the other side. And then you come right back to center. Hands are down by your side. So we're gonna do corkscrew. So bring both legs straight to the ceiling. It's okay if you have tight hamstrings and the legs are a little bent. Try and get those legs straight. Head and shoulders are gonna stay on the floor. And we're gonna draw a circle with the legs. You're gonna draw a circle on the ceiling with your toes or the heels, drawn in one direction. You stop at center, draw that same circle in the opposite direction, and come back to center. It's hard for a lot of people just to hold those legs straight to the ceiling. So if you could work a little harder, we're going to try to add the hip lift, kind of like that prep for rollover that we did. You pick the hips up, tip over, draw a circle down and around, back to center, draw that same circle in the opposite direction, down and around, and pulling back to center. Keep alternating direction. Don't think figure eight on the ceiling. You're drawing a full circle all the way back to center, and then draw that same circle in the opposite direction. Try to squeeze those legs together, pull the belly in, press the shoulders to the floor, lengthen the back of the neck. Do one more circle in each direction. You do your last circle, and when you bring it back to center, you can bend your knees in and give yourself a little break. Bring the legs right back to tabletop position. I want you to find your neutral here because we're going to try to maintain it as we move the legs. So hip bones and pubic bone on the same plane. You should feel that natural curve in the low back. Both legs are going to extend straight and then come back in. It's just like half of that exercise that we did earlier at the beginning, the double leg stretch. But just focus on moving the legs out and then pulling back in. While you're doing that, you're pulling bottom ribs to your hips, taking a deep breath up high in the rib cage. Now we're going to change up the position of the hips. So the legs are going to do the same extension and come back to tabletop, but turn your legs out like a froggy or a diamond shape, heels together, toes apart, both legs lengthen and straight. You feel the back of the thighs squeeze together, then you bring them back in. Hopefully you're still pressing the shoulders in the floor, lengthening the back of the neck. Draw the navel in deeper, reaching those legs long, and then back in. Now if you can, reach those legs out long and hold it, and then we're going to do little beats. Holding those legs long and straight, you open, close the straight legs. Press the shoulders to the floor, pull the belly in. Hold the heels together, bend your knees in, and hug the knees into your chest. Let's do a little hip stretch. So one ankle comes over the opposite knee, and then pull it into your chest for a stretch. We're going to do that same thing on the other side. Take another deep breath up high in the rib cage. And then you can come right back to center. Uncross the legs. Now let's rock yourself up to seated. When you come up to seated, we're going to do one more hard exercise here, but I'll always modify it for you. So hands are by your side, kind of back behind you. Lift the rib cage up, point the feet, reach through the toes, and you're going to lift one leg up, lower down, lift the other leg up. So we're doing a leg pull here. This is the easier version. It's keeping your hips on the floor. If you can, you're going to lift your hips up so that you're in a plank. Lifting one leg up, lower down, lift the other leg up and lower down. Keep pushing the floor away, lift those hips a little higher. Still breathing. Do one more on each side. After you rest your hips to the floor, you're going to fold over straight legs and reach to your toes. Shoulders stay down out of the ears. Come back up and stack up to straight. Bring the legs about as wide as your mat. We're going to do spine stretch forward. So this exercise can be really relaxing, but you want to focus on the legs. Your abs are tight and pulled in, and you're trying to keep the pelvis in the same position. Arms are reaching, and we're going to get a stretch in your upper spine so that you're flexing forward into a C curve, and then you stack right back up. So while you're flexing the upper spine and reaching those arms long, your abs are tight and pulled in, the legs are long and straight, you're reaching out to the heels. Just feel yourself stretching between the shoulder blades, lengthen those arms long, and then stacking back up. We'll just do two more. Inhale, grow tall. As your last one, reach longer arms, longer legs, pull the belly in, and then you can stack right back up. Good. Bring the legs a little closer together. We're just going to do some hamstring stretches, kind of like tree that we did on Thursday, but we won't be falling back on this one. Just hold on to one bent leg, sit tall, kick it to straight, bend it, kick it up to straight, bend, kick up and hold it. Walk your hands up that leg and pull it in, shoulders shrug down, still breathe. And then when you're ready, you're going to switch legs. Do the same thing on the other side. So bent legs, sit tall, kick, bend, kick, and bend. Now kick and hold it. Pull yourself into that leg, shoulders shrug down, flex the foot if you can deepen the stretch, and then you can bring that leg back down. Good job. Just sit however you're comfortable. Shoulders shrug up to your ears, shoulders down. Deep breath up high in the rib cage. Do one more, shoulders up and then down. Now reach both arms up while still keeping the shoulders down. I'll turn the face towards this side. You're just gonna do a little side bend stretch, reaching that arm long, but pull on that arm as you're pulling it overhead. And then do the same thing to the other side. Go, when you're ready. Arms down, shoulders down and back. Your abs should be tight and pulled in all day. And after that, you guys are all done. You're gonna come and